Welcome to your first Unit 1 video. Today we're going to be focusing on what government is and what it does for us. So, as you're taking notes in any instructional video, remember you're going to want to take notes on what's on the screen. So, you're going to want to write that down, but you also want to take notes on what I'm talking about. So, don't just write down what's on the screen and then check out and think you're done. Okay? Feel free to pause me and rewind me if you missed something. That's one of the cool things about providing you with instruction this way. Okay? So, let's get to it. We're going to talk a little bit more about the four purposes of government. And we've already discussed this in class, but just make sure you've got those down. The four purposes are to maintain order. So, what's an example of maintaining order? Providing laws, providing law enforcement, explaining and making sure that people know that if they break a law, then there's going to be some sort of punishment for it. Okay? Providing protection. That's the second one. And when you think of providing protection, I want you to think of like on a nationwide scale. Okay. So this is protecting the people within the country from external threats and also from internal threats that might arise. So we're thinking military, National Guard, that kind of stuff. The third thing is that all governments are going to provide some sort of public services, and they might vary depending on the government. But in our government today in the United States, public services are things like roads, bridges, things that are going to help maintain our infrastructure, public schools, where you are right now. And then they also are supposed to maintain the economy or to make economic decisions. So, ways that governments do that by naming and maintaining a national currency. So, in the United States, we use the US dollar by spending money to address public services needs or something like that. And of course, taxing. Those are going to be the big things that go along with maintaining the economy. Okay, so now we're going to switch gears and we're going to move on to the four theories of how government came to be. So, where did government come from and how did it look when it first started? So, the first theory we want to look at is the evolutionary theory. And this is not the evolutionary theory that you may have learned about in science. This is the theory that tells us that government came from or evolved from family. Okay. So, imagine this, we're all wandering in the wilderness, and somebody says, "Hey, I think we need to go that way because that way is going to be food and water and shelter and protection, and it's going to be great." And everybody says, "Okay, let's go that way." That person who has made that decision has taken on the role of the government. The next one is called the force theory. And the force theory tells us that government emerged when one group overtook another, or when one person rose up and forcefully came to power in some way, shape, or form. Okay? The third one was really popular in Europe all the way up through the Enlightenment. It was definitely used by Native Americans and other ancient cultures. And this is the divine right theory that tells us that a person believed that they had been given the authority to rule or to govern by a god or a group of gods. Okay. So I want you to think about what type of power someone would have in their government if they believed in this divine right theory. Okay. And the last one, my absolute favorite, is the social contract theory. And this theory tells us that people give up some of their unlimited freedom. So, some of their unlimited freedom that they have as just by virtue of being people in order to receive protection from the government. So, we're not necessarily submitting all of our rights to the government and then we're just walking around like blobs. We are saying, okay, government, you are going to do something for me, and in exchange, I'm going to give something to you. Okay, so it's that contract idea. And I will stop there. If you guys have any questions, let me know.